I searched everywhere. Excuse me, what's Beyond GTO? I've traveled far. I've asked everybody. I scaled the tallest mountains and dove to the deepest depths of the ocean. I left no stone unturned in my quest to find out what lies beyond GTO. What's beyond GTO? But I was unsuccessful. After years of searching, I was losing hope, but then, in an ancient Irish burial ground, I discovered this, the Holy Grail, the Beyond GTO book itself. Beyond GTO could be also called the node-locking book. Node-locking basically means that you, in the software that you study, limit the options of your opponent. For example, let's say this branch represents you raising. This one is an opponent in the small blind that is folding. This option is calling, and the third branch is raising. Now, with some calling stations, they will never fold. So what node-locking can do is it can remove the branch. Goddamn, that is stupid flowerhead thorns. So you can remove the folding branch, and then you take a look at what happens if your opponent only raises or calls, and what is the optimal strategy to adjust to that. With node locking, you can also keep the tree in, but limit the strategy of your opponent to not be optimal. Let's say you see two people running. They are doing the same activity, but they can be doing it differently. One of them is running optimally, and the other one is making big mistakes. Node locking allows you to see how you are supposed to play differently against the person that is not running optimally compared to the theoretically perfect opponent. And this is what Beyond GTO attempts to do. It takes the GTO solutions, it brings in real-life examples using limiting the options of our opponents, using the wrong strategy, and then uses the software and the assumptions of the authors to show you how you should adjust against someone who is not playing optimally. All the chapters in the book, besides the introduction and the conclusion, are structured the identical way. First, you have a leak that people have, a way that they deviate from game theory optimal approach. Then the authors show you the solver outputs for actual optimal perfect strategy in the simplified solver solution. And then they use node locking to show you how the solver will actually adjust to someone making a mistake. This way, Dara O'Kearney and Barry Carter give you their personal subjective assumptions about how you should exploit the people, but they also supplemented with hard evidence from solver outputs, which basically allows them to avoid the pitfalls of every single exploitive poker book that becomes obsolete after a couple of months as the meta in the game changes. Basically, the book is an introduction that explains game theory optimal play and node locking, a conclusion of how you should use it going forward, and the meat of it is pretty much using solvers' game theory optimal approach to maximally exploit opponents, going through concepts one by one. One of the surprising concepts that came from their preflop node locking solutions and simplifying is that if someone is a fighter behind you, you are on the cutoff and the button is free betting too much, they are calling too much, they are being too aggressive, the popular wisdom is that you should tighten up and just have strong range. No, you should be actually fighting back, capitalizing on him making this mistake and enable him to make it more often. For example, when he free bets too many strong hands, you can exploit his calling range. Their findings also show a bunch of butterfly effects. For example, if you increase your bluffing range incorrectly by just 1%, the bluff catcher can call up to 25% more hands because the equities run so close. They also have shown that if someone makes a mistake on one node, for example, if they free bet strong hands, your exploit is actually on the other branches of his game tree. For example, if someone free bets strong hands, you can exploit his calling range. Although the concepts are universal, a lot of the ranges you will be only able to directly apply in tournaments because they deal with no rate. They are usually 40 to 50 big blinds, and they are not like 100 big blind ones where nut advantages, for example, are more important. Despite all the examples being for tournament players, you will benefit from this book even though you are a cash game player. The reason for that is that the concepts are basically universal. If someone, for example, check raises only weak hands and slow plays too much with their strong hands, you are meant to be free betting a lot, to deny them equity, to take the pot down right there. All the concepts like changing one street will change your strategy on other streets as well. That changing one node means that you have to exploit the other one. You will definitely benefit from that, whether you are a tournament player or a cash game player. But I do have to add one extra point for tournament players, because you will be able to take the examples and use them right away in game. The book is absolutely simple to follow. It's incredibly well structured, very, very simple. Don't expect a large novel of interjecting chapters. No, this very much is a book that you're supposed to study. Also, don't expect specific guides on how to actually use the software to node lock. Don't expect that. You will have to do your own research because there's so many programs. I'm assuming the authors didn't want to put it in. But if you are looking for a systematic and simple way on how to exploit your opponents, on how to find out how to use the modern programs to figure out how to maximally exploit your opponents, and how to, most importantly, understand GTO, not just by copying its solutions, by how actually knowing how it works, how the optimal play changes if you change a couple of parameters. This is definitely a book for you. So if you are a tournament player, I'm giving it 9 lemons out of 10. If you are a cash game player, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10.